Hey everyone, Joe Brady here, and I've got some great gear to share with you. Our friends over at Photo Savings have sent us some gear to take a look at, and I've got a series of lenses from Rokinon. Now, Rokinon's parent company is actually Samyang. In fact, one of the lenses is branded as a Samyang, but you're probably going to see them more commonly out in the marketplace as Rokinon, and that's what our friends at Photo Savings have. The lenses I've got here, two full-frame lenses, two lenses designed for compact APS-C type cameras, the smaller mirrorless cameras with removable lenses. The first lens we're going to take a close look at is the 14mm f2.8. I recently had the opportunity to take this lens on a couple of trips. I had it in Italy, I had it in England, and I had it just last weekend in Cape Cod. And this has become one of my go-to lenses. I had never used these lenses before, and I am completely sold on this. So let's take a closer look at the Rokinon 14mm f2.8. So I've got the lens now mounted to my Sony a7R II. This is the camera that I used it with. Again, full frame, 42 megapixel. So because of the resolution, it's really a test on the lenses, and I'm amazed at how well it performed. Let's take a closer look at the lens. As I mentioned, it's a full frame manual lens. This is a manual focus lens that's available for practically every camera mount out there. That includes Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Pentax K, Samsung, 4/3 and Micro 4/3. Now this lens has about 115-degree field of view on full-frame cameras. If you put it on an APS-C camera, which you of course can, it will drop down to about 90 degrees. The aperture range is from f2.8 to 22, and the minimum focusing distance is about 11 inches. Now it has a petal-type lens hood, which is included. In fact, it's built into the lens. This type of lens actually has an element that actually extends out. So you can't use a standard kind of screw-on filter with this kind of lens. You need a filter holder that will fit over front of the petal hood. This lens has quickly become one of my favorites based on its combination of price and performance. With a street price of under $300, adding this lens to your camera kit is really a no-brainer. It's sharp, the distortion is minimal, and it performs beautifully on both full-frame and APS-C cameras. As I mentioned, I recently took this lens on a trip to Europe and also on a short trip to Cape Cod. I found it very handy for cityscapes where you couldn't move back far enough to capture everything with a standard lens like my 24-70, and for those times when I wanted to have everything in focus from right at my feet off to infinity. This lens also shined in interiors, particularly in some of the old churches where it was very dimly lit and there wasn't much room to maneuver. The clarity of this lens, the usability of it was just absolutely phenomenal. As you can see from some of these images I'm showing you right now, this lens was a gem to use, completely easy, remarkable results from dimly lit interiors to cityscapes where you just couldn't get back far enough. This camera really puts lenses to the test because it's 42 megapixels. This lens didn't suffer at all. The clarity from edge to edge was remarkable, and as I mentioned earlier, the distortion was minimal. One of the other things that surprised me is this is a manual focus lens, and there are times that I have gone to manual focus in the past because I don't want the lens to keep hunting. When I find what I want it focused on, I want it to stay there. That said, with a lens like this, particularly on a camera like the Sony where you've got focus peaking and it can show you what's in focus, I found the manual actually to be not a detriment at all, and in fact, at many times a great help. It's not really a problem once you get used to using it. It's just going to work beautifully. And to sum up, the price and performance of this lens really make the decision a no-brainer to add one to your camera bag. As soon as I started using this lens, I realized I had to have it. In fact, I'm going to end up buying this one because I can't bear the thought of sending it back to our friends at Photo Savings. If you currently use wide-angle lenses infrequently because of price, well, that barrier is completely broken. The creative possibilities that this opens up to you will have you reaching for this lens time and time again. I know that once you get to try one, you're going to feel the same way. Again, the Rokinon 14mm 2.8.